This evening, fears of the coronavirus reaching our shores have been realized, with the country recording its first case.
The deadly COVID-19 pandemic,
characterized as a pandemic.
A pregnant woman who was denied admission at several hospitals died shortly after giving birth.
Jamaica confirms its second imported case of COVID-19.
This is the moment of opportunity.
Now the number of confirmed coronavirus cases worldwide topping 3 million Monday.
New York, one of the world's most admired cities, has become the hardest hit by the COVID-19 outbreak.
5.24 million people filing for unemployment.
We do have breaking news.
The entire world has been devastated by the coronavirus pandemic. It was the latest virus to afflict mankind, hot off the heels of 2009's H1N1 outbreak and the 2014 Ebola outbreak. The COVID-19 pandemic is a respiratory disease that attacks the immune system of the host and can be transferred via physical contact with an infected person or contact with an infected surface. But by now, you should know all of that already. The COVID-19 pandemic has slowed economic growth and shut down entire industries. Social life will never be the same, as social distancing laws have distanced families and friends. The aviation industry has been largely affected, with almost 3/4 of the world's aircraft grounded.
The airline industry is forecasting up to $113 billion in losses worldwide this year.
The Caribbean has largely been affected by the coronavirus outbreak, with countries that rely primarily on tourism for economic stability not being able to do so. With flight restrictions and grounded planes, many Caribbean hotels have shuttered their doors. The source of income for many Caribbean countries is tourism, and Jamaica is no different. With almost 75% of Jamaica's hospitality workers laid off, a staggering 120,000 people unemployed, Jamaica has quickly become the heart of the coronavirus outbreak in the English-speaking Caribbean. But that is not all to the story. This is how it started. This is how we arrived where we are today. Jamaica, a country located in the Northern Caribbean Sea, a country loved by so many for their culture, unique attributes, and breathtaking landscapes, has now been considered closed due to the coronavirus pandemic. On January 28, 2020, rumors began to circulate around the island on social media that a woman who had recently traveled to Jamaica from China had contracted the disease.
that medical officials at the University Hospital of the West Indies are treating a suspected case of the coronavirus.
Panic ensued, and Jamaica's Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, had dismissed the rumors of such. Soon after, Jamaica imposed a travel ban on China, just a day after the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
February was somewhat of a quiet month for Jamaica, as all eyes were positioned on the international impact of COVID-19. The countries of Italy and Spain were seeing their first wave of cases. At the beginning of March, the mental effects of the pandemic had begun to show itself, where panic buying of food and disinfectant items began flying off shelves as Jamaicans became increasingly concerned about the outbreak. And on March 10, 2020, Jamaica's Ministry of Health announced that Jamaica had seen its first confirmed case of the coronavirus pandemic.
Fears of the coronavirus reaching our shores have been realized, with the country recording its first case.
The following day, Jamaica confirmed its second case of the virus on March 11.
Jamaica confirms its second imported case of COVID-19.
And panic consumed the public. The demand for disinfectants began growing and growing. Persons began wearing masks in public, and parents began pulling their children from school, all in a matter of 2 days. Rum distiller J. Ray and Levy had suspended operations at their Spanish Town Road location after it was revealed that there was close contact between the confirmed case and an employee. The annual Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletic Championships, affectionately called CHAMPS, was cancelled, an event that athletes count on for sports scholarships to universities and with so many investors. This was the start of an economic and social impasse. On March the 12th, 2020, the Prime Minister of Jamaica announced the closure of all schools for 2 weeks, Little did most know that it would have lasted past those 2 weeks. By now, students are at home for almost 2 months engaging in what was dubbed distance learning or online school. But that was not without challenges, as unreliable network connections in Jamaica and with so many children without access to the technologies, it simply would not have been fair.
Approximately 31,000 children have had, unfortunately, to go through this period without being able to be connected through the internet.
St. Thomas was thought to be the epicenter of the outbreak, with the first case emerging from there, and quarantines were quickly placed on the communities of 7 miles and 8 miles in Bull Bay. Jamaica had been declared a disaster area, with the National Guard being deployed to ensure compliance. Mandates were issued for all non-essential workers in both the public and private sector to work from home. Public gatherings were limited to no more than 20 persons, a social distance of 4 feet, and all nighttime activities were closed. Jamaica's first casualty came on March 18th, an elderly man who was from Clarendon with a recent travel history to the United States epicenter, New York City.
New York, one of the world's most admired cities, has become the hardest hit by the COVID-19 outbreak. The city has recorded the most cases in the world with over 159,000 cases.
The attention quickly shifted to Hayes, Clarendon after several coronavirus cases began to emerge. Quarantine orders were issued and the authorities were dispatched to ensure compliance. The situation was getting worse by the day and the government needed to take back control. Jamaica did the next logical thing and closed its air and seaports to all incoming passenger traffic for 2 weeks, as the concerns about the COVID-19 virus's spread on the island grew. The lockdown on schools was extended into the Easter period, and adults 75 years and older were given a stay-at-home order. The curfew period began at the end of March, when an all-island curfew for the first week of April was imposed.
On April the 1st, there will be an all-island curfew.
By the beginning of April, the curfew had come into effect, and surprisingly, compliance was almost perfect. Defiance, however, was isolated. But there was soon to be an even bigger problem overnight. Jamaica's cases jumped from little over 70 to almost 200. It was the rise that so few expected, and the epicenter? A call center in Portmore, St. Catherine. The government announced several measures to combat this new spread and even tightened curfew hours. Call centers continued to increase the local cases by a significant margin. A $500 million industry, the BPO sector, was on the verge of being shuttered. Just when Jamaica thought it could not have gotten any worse, on the 24th of April 2020, a recent university graduate, Jody Ann Ferron, died shortly after giving birth. It was a tragedy that rocked the nation.
The death of a pregnant woman who was denied medical treatment at University and Victoria Jubilee hospitals.
The post-mortem for Jody Ann Ferron, the lady who died after giving birth.
Jody Ann's story was first brought to the nation a few days earlier when she was rejected from several hospitals in the country after exhibiting coronavirus symptoms, but she never did contract the disease. The public outrage that followed would have sparked the debate of a lifetime, with hashtags trending on social media platforms, Justice for Jody Ann. By the end of April, Jamaica's cases stood at 422 with a solemn 8 deaths. The economy began to feel the ripple effects hard. With so many business establishments closed, employees began to be laid off and so many persons went through hardships.
A helper whose feet have become weary. She has not been able to work since the announcement of the first COVID-19 case in Jamaica.
The economy was slowly losing ground. At the time of this video, the global COVID-19 cases stood at 3,873,071 infected, with 267,790 deaths and 1,335,790 recovered. The best thing that all Jamaicans can do right now is to continue to follow the directives of the government, and in the words of Jamaica's Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness,
Stay at home. Tan a your yard. Tan a your yard.
Hello my viewers, thank you for sticking around, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a comment and a like, and if you like this content, click that subscribe button and stick around for more. Also, let me know if you'd like to see more content like this. Thanks for tuning in.